Something happened to me 3 weeks ago, and I still don't know if it was real, or if my mind finally gave up on me. My name is Marcus Tavares. I'm 42 years old. I've been a truck driver for almost 2 decades, and on that Thursday night, I was broken, financially, emotionally, in every possible way. It was almost 10 o'clock at night when my cell phone rang. I was in the parking lot of a cheap truck stop on Interstate 40, trying to decide whether to eat a reheated sandwich or save the money for a tank of gas. The screen showed an unknown number, area code 307. Wyoming, it didn't matter. Money is money. Marcus Tavares, I answered, trying to sound professional. The voice on the other end was metallic, distant, as if it were passing through multiple layers of interference. Mr. Tavares, we have an urgent shipment. Collection at 2 in the morning. Payment in advance. $3,500. I almost choked on the cold coffee I was holding. $3,500 for one night. Yes. 20-foot container. Simple route. Are you available? I should have asked more questions. I should have been suspicious, but at that moment, all I could think about was my daughter Sophia's overdue child support. 16 years old, and she barely looked at me. My ex-wife, Jennifer, had sent me 4 messages that week, all about money, none asking how I was doing. I am, I replied. Where is the collection point? We will send the coordinates via message. Payment will be transferred once you confirm your attendance at the location. Please bring your own trailer. There will be no support team. The call dropped before I could answer. I looked around. The parking lot was almost empty. Just a few old trucks. Drivers asleep in their cabs. The gas station light flickered erratically, casting long shadows on the cracked asphalt. I felt small, invisible. My phone vibrated. A message with the coordinates. An address somewhere near Amarillo, Texas. 2 states away. I'd have to drive all night just to get there. I called Jennifer, straight to voicemail. I called Sophia. She answered on the 4th ring. What? Her voice was cold and angry. Hi, daughter. I just wanted to let you know that I'm going for a long run today. It might take a few days. Yes, silence. Sophia, I know you're angry with me. I know that. Dad, I'm busy. We'll talk later. She hung up. I stood there, holding my phone, feeling that familiar emptiness opening up in my chest. That hole that never closes, no matter how many miles I drive trying to escape it. I could have refused that ride. I should have noticed the signs. But when you're sinking, you grab onto anything that looks like a buoy. I started the engine of my Freightliner Cascadia. It was old, but reliable. I had bought it used after an accident destroyed my previous trailer. I was still paying the installments. The road was empty. Just me, the yellow line on the asphalt, and the deep sound of the diesel engine cutting through the silence of the night. The radio was playing a country song I didn't recognize. I turned it off. I preferred the silence. I thought of Sophia, of how she used to wait for me at the door when I came back from my trips. She was 5 or 6 years old. She would run to hug me. She called me hero of the road. Now she barely knew my name. The road stretched straight, endlessly. I had 6 hours to go to Amarillo, 6 hours to think, 6 hours to regret all the choices that had brought me here. But I kept driving, because that's what I knew how to do, run forward. I arrived at the location at 2:14 a.m. The GPS led me off the main highway onto a secondary gravel road I didn't even know existed. There were no signs, no streetlights, just the darkness of rural Texas and the beam of my headlights cutting through the night. The address pointed to an abandoned industrial complex. You could tell from the cracked concrete buildings, broken windows, and rusty chains hanging from doors that hadn't opened in years. It was probably a distribution center in the 90s. Now it was just a skeleton. I parked the truck at the entrance to the property. The diesel engine hummed softly, the only sound in that absolute solitude. I grabbed my flashlight, climbed out of the cab, and felt the chill of the early morning air hit my face. The air smelled of old oil and rust. "Hello," I shouted. My voice echoed back, empty. Nothing. I walked across the concrete yard, the flashlight dangling in my hand. At the back of the lot, leaning against a roofless shed, there it was, a 20-foot container, painted a faded gray. It looked old, but intact. No visible rust, no structural damage. But there was nobody there. No employees, no forklift operators, no support trucks, just the container. Waiting. I approached slowly. The container door was locked with a new industrial padlock, gleaming in the flashlight. Right next to it, taped to the metal side, was a brown envelope. I tore open the envelope. Inside, a document folded into 3 parts and a small key. I opened the document. "Dead freight manifest confidential. Do not open the container." The first line already confused me. Collection date, March 15th, 2027. I blinked. I read it again. March 2027. It was December 2024. Typo, I thought. Someone mixed up the numbers. I continued reading. Origin, Fort Stockton, TX. Destination, mile marker, 237, Interstate 40. Fort Stockton. I knew it. Small town in West Texas. But mile marker 237? That wasn't a real address. It wasn't a warehouse. Just a spot on the road. My eyes drifted down to the list of items in the cargo. Item 1, Laura Mendez, 34 years old. Item 2, David Ortiz, 29 years old. Item 3, Rebecca Cole, 41 years old. Item 4, Timothy Walsh, 56 years old. 4 names, not boxes or pallets. People's names. I felt a tightness in my stomach. "What the hell is this?" I muttered. I turned the paper over. On the back, in small, shaky letters, someone had written by hand, "Don't look inside. Don't stop before your destination. They will beg. Ignore them." My hand started to tremble. I looked back at the container. It was there, motionless, silent. But suddenly it seemed heavy, as if it were carrying something far beyond metal and air. I picked up my cell phone. I tried calling back the number that had hired me. Voicemail. I tried again. Nothing. $3,500. It had already been deposited into my account. I had checked it before leaving the truck stop. I could leave. I should leave. But then I thought about the pension, about Sophia, about Jennifer sending more demanding messages, humiliating, turning the knife around. "It's just a load," I whispered to myself. "Just take it to mile 237 and forget about it." I grabbed the key, unlocked the padlock, and secured the container to the trailer. The hitch made a sharp, definitive metallic click. I went back to the cabin. I started the engine. The diesel roared, reassuring. I looked in the rear-view mirror. The container was there, secure and fastened. I put the transmission in drive mode, and I left that damned property. But as I drove back to the highway, something kept bothering me. Those names, Laura Mendez, David Ortiz, Rebecca Cole, Timothy Walsh. Why names? And why? Why that feeling that I'd heard the name Laura Mendez before? I shook my head. Tiredness, paranoia, lack of sleep. Just that. The road opened up before me. Dark, empty, endless. I sped up. And behind me, in the absolute silence of the early morning, the container continued on its way. Property, but not empty. Interstate 40 was a tunnel of darkness. It was past 3 in the morning, and I hadn't seen another car for almost half an hour. No trucks, no patrol cars, nothing. Just the headlights of my Freightliner tearing through the night and the white dotted line disappearing under the wheels. The radio was on, but it was only picking up static. I slowly turned the dial, searching for a station. Nothing. Just hissing, as if all the frequencies had been cut off. I hung up. The silence that followed was even worse. I could hear my own breathing, the soft creak of the leather seat, the deep rumble of the engine, and nothing else. No wind, no crickets, nothing. I looked at the dashboard. Outside temperature, 38 degrees outside. Cold, but not unbearably so for this time of year. Still, I felt a shiver run down the back of my neck. The cabin was freezing. I turned up the heater. Warm air began to blow through the vents, but the feeling of cold didn't go away. It was as if it came from within, from the bones. I picked up my cell phone. 1 bar of signal, weak, but it was there. I called Sophia. He called 6 times. Voicemail. "Hi, daughter. It's me again." My voice sounded strange, small. "I know it's late, but I just wanted to hear your voice. I'm so sorry for everything, for not being the father you deserved, for choosing the road instead of you." I swallowed hard. "I love you, Sophia, even if you don't believe it." I hung up. I stared at the blank screen of my phone, waiting for her to call back, hoping for a miracle. Nothing. I dropped my phone in the cup holder and looked back at the road. That's when I realized the side mirror was fogged up. Not on the outside, on the inside, as if someone had breathed very close to the glass. But I was alone in the cabin. I wiped the rearview mirror with my shirt sleeve. Clean. Dry. I looked in the side mirror again. The fog had gotten worse. Tiny droplets were running down the glass. "What a mess," I muttered. "Probably condensation. Temperature difference, nothing serious." But then I heard a muffled sound, grave, coming from behind. I instinctively took my foot off the accelerator. The truck began to slow down. I lowered the window, letting the cold air in, and listened. Nothing, just the wind. "You're going crazy, Marcus," I said to myself. I accelerated again, 60 miles per hour, 70. The road continued straight, endless. Then the sound returned. Tock, tock, tock. 3 knocks, metallic, coming from the container. My heart raced. Loose cargo, I thought. That's all. Something poorly secured inside rattling around with the movement. But the beats had been rhythmic, deliberate. Tock, tock, tock. Again, I gripped the steering wheel tighter. My hands were sweating. "It's just cargo. It's just loose cargo." But my voice came out shaky. I drove for another 10 minutes, 15, trying to ignore it, trying to focus on the road. Then I heard something different. It wasn't a hit, it was a scratch. Slow, continuous, like fingernails being dragged across metal, coming from inside the container. My breath caught in my throat. I slammed on the brakes. The truck pulled over to the side of the road with a tire winch. I grabbed the flashlight. I went downstairs. The cold hit me like a punch. The air was thick, heavy, no wind, but freezing. I walked to the back of the truck, the flashlight trembling in my hand. The container was there, gray, immobile, locked. I pressed my ear against the metal door. Absolute silence. "Is anyone in there?" I asked, my voice cracking. Nothing. I know I heard something. Nothing yet. I knocked on the door. 3 times. Loudly. Clang, clang, clang. The echo spread across the empty road, and then an answer. From the inside. Tock, tock, tock. 3 knocks. Exactly the same as mine. I stumbled back. The flashlight fell onto the asphalt, rolling away. What the hell? What the hell is this? I grabbed the flashlight, ran back to the cabin, and locked the doors. I stood there, breathing rapidly, sweat dripping down my forehead despite the cold. I looked in the rearview mirror. The container was parked behind me. Dark. Silent. But now I knew. There was something inside. Something was listening to me. I drove for another hour without stopping, without looking in the rearview mirror, without slowing down, just keeping going straight ahead, trying to put distance between myself and those impacts. But they kept echoing in my head. Tock, 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 exactly the same as mine, as if something inside was imitating. The sky began to lighten on the horizon, a pale, almost sickly blue, replacing the absolute black of the night. I should feel relieved. Daylight always brings comfort, but I didn't bring it. I saw a green sign. Tucumcari, 15 miles, I knew the city. Small, a mandatory stop for truckers. 24-hour gas station, bad coffee, clean bathrooms. I decided to stop. I needed to think. I needed to understand what was happening. The gas station was a skeleton of fluorescent lights in the middle of nowhere. 2 fuel pumps, a convenience store with dirty windows, and a cracked parking lot where 3 other trucks rested. I parked far from them, in the corner, isolated. I turned off the engine and the silence returned. Heavy, oppressive. I grabbed the manifest from the glove compartment. My hands were still trembling. Dead freight manifest. I read it again, slowly, looking for something I might have missed. Collection date, March 15th, 2027. Origin, Fort Stockton. TX destination, mile marker, 237, Interstate 40. Item 1, Laura Mendez, 34 years old. Item 2, David Ortiz, 29 years old. Item 3, Rebecca Cole, 41 years old. Item 4, Timothy Walsh, 56 years old. Laura Mendez. That name, I knew that name. I closed my eyes, trying to remember. Where had I heard that before? And then it came. A vague memory. Years ago. I was at a truck stop in New Mexico. A TV on the wall was showing local news. A missing woman. A blurry photo on the screen. Laura Mendez, 34 years old. Missing since 2009. My blood ran cold. I picked up my cell phone. 2 bars of signal. I opened the browser and typed, Laura Mendez missing New Mexico. The page loaded slowly. Very slowly. Then he appeared. News from 2009. Laura Mendez, 34, was last seen leaving her job in Albuquerque on the evening of August 12th. Her car was found abandoned on Interstate 40, near mile marker 220. No signs of violence, no body found. The case remains unsolved. There was a picture of her, brown hair, shy smile, tired eyes. She seemed normal, real. And now it was listed as item 1 in the cargo manifest that I was carrying. No, that doesn't make sense. I got out of the cabin. The cold morning air hit my face. I walked to the container, my cell phone still in my hand. I looked at the locked door. Laura? I called softly, feeling ridiculous. Laura Mendez. Nothing. If there's anyone in there, please, answer me. Silence. I placed my hand on the metal door. It was icy, colder than it should have been. And then, I felt it. A vibration. Gentle. Almost imperceptible. As if something on the other side was also touching it, in the same place. I pulled my hand away with a start, my breath quickening. I went back to the cabin. I locked the doors. My hands were shaking so much I almost dropped my phone. I typed the second name, David Ortiz missing. The page loaded. News from 2012. David Ortiz, 29, disappeared while on a solo camping trip in West Texas. His equipment was found intact, but he never returned. The search was called off after 3 weeks. My stomach churned. I typed the third one, Rebecca Cole missing. News from 2015. Rebecca Cole, 41, mother of 2, disappeared after going for a morning walk. Her trail was lost near Interstate 40. No evidence of a crime. Case closed. And lastly, Timothy Walsh, missing. News from 2018. Timothy Walsh, 56, a truck driver, was reported missing after failing to return from a nighttime delivery. His truck was found empty at mile marker 215. 4 people. 4 disappearances over 10 years. Everyone on Interstate 40, all without a solution. And now, all listed as load in the container I was transporting. I dropped my phone on the seat, hands covering my face. This isn't real. This can't be real. But it was. And deep down I knew I wasn't carrying any objects. I was transporting them. The people who never returned home. I should have abandoned everything there, left the truck in the parking lot, called the police, disappeared. But what was I going to say? Look, officer, I think there are dead people, or something worse, inside that container because their names appear in old news reports and now I hear banging. I'm going to commit me to a mental institution. Furthermore, the $3,500 had already been spent. Transfer to Jennifer, pension advance, truck installment, fuel. I was imprisoned, so I did what I always did. I put the key in the ignition, started the engine, and drove on. Mile marker 237. All I had to do was get there, drop off the damn cargo, receive the rest of the payment. Forget it ever happened. Simple. I returned to Interstate 40. The sun was rising, but the light was strange, weak. As if filtered through something invisible, the sky had a grayish, almost dirty color. Few cars passed by, and when they did, they sped away from me, as if they knew. I drove for 2 hours in silence, and so it began. Talk, one beat, unique, deep. Arriving from the container, I ignored it. Talk, 2 hits, louder. I gripped the steering wheel tightly, my eyes fixed on the road. Talk. 5 quick taps, like desperate punches. Stop it, I whispered, my voice trembling. The banging stopped. 3 seconds of silence, so something different. A scratch, long, dragged, metallic, like fingernails trying to tear metal from the inside out. My foot trembled on the accelerator. The truck swayed slightly. It's not real. It's not real. It's not real. But it was. And then I heard the voice, muffled, distant, but clear enough. Please. I instinctively slammed on the brakes. The truck skidded, its tires screeching, until it came to a stop on the shoulder. I stood motionless. My breath held, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. Please, don't take me there. It was a woman's voice, weak, desperate. Laura, no. My voice came out broken. He's waiting. In the end, he's always waited. I covered my ears with my hands. I closed my eyes tightly. Shut up. Silence returned. Heavy. Absolutely. I opened my eyes slowly. My hands were still trembling. I looked in the rearview mirror. The container was there. Gray, immobile, but now there was something different. On the side of the container, where there was nothing before. Now there were marks, scratches, deep, made from the inside out, as if someone had tried to escape. My breath hitched. I felt bile rising in my throat. I opened the cabin door and vomited on the asphalt, 1, 2, 3 times, until there was nothing left. I stood there, leaning against the door, cold sweat running down my forehead. I grabbed the flashlight. I climbed down. I staggered to the back of the truck. The marks were there. 4 parallel lines, like fingers, repeated several times. Desperate. I placed my hand on one of them and listened. Heat. No. It wasn't hot. It was a pulse. The metal was throbbing, as if there were a heart beating on the other side. I stumbled back. I fell backward onto the asphalt. And that's when I heard it again. It wasn't just a voice. There were several. Don't come. He'll take you too. You can still stop. Marcus Tavares. They knew my name. I stumbled to my feet, ran back to the cabin, locked the doors, and gripped the steering wheel so tightly my fingers turned white. This is not happening. This is not happening. But the voices continued. Lower now, like whispers passing through metal, passing through the air, passing through my mind. You're next. It always was. Since he accepted, I looked at the dashboard. Mileage, mile marker, 178. There were still 59 miles to go. 59 miles to the final destination. 59 miles until I discovered what was waiting for me. I put the transmission in drive mode, and I continued. Because now I needed to know, even if the answer destroyed me. The voices stopped after a few minutes, but the silence that followed was worse, because now I knew they were there, waiting, watching. I drove for another half hour, trying not to think, trying not to look in the rearview mirror, but it was impossible. My eyes kept returning there every few seconds, as if they had a will of their own. The container was still there, gray, immobile, but the scratch marks had gotten worse. Mile marker, 195. 42 miles to the destination. I picked up my cell phone, 3 bars of signal. I looked for the number that had hired me. I dialed. He called once, 2, 3. Then, a voice answered. But it wasn't human. It was static, like a radio out of tune. And within the static, something that looked like words, but distorted, incomprehensible. Hello? Hello? I shouted. The static grew louder, and within it, I heard fragments. Arriving. Almost ready. He waits. I hung up. My hand was shaking. I tried again. Direct voicemail. No recorded message. Just an empty beep. Shit. 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 I threw my cell phone on the bench. I took a deep breath, trying to think. I needed help. Someone real. Someone who could do something. I dialed 911. 911, what is your emergency? The operator's voice was clear and professional. I need help. I'm a truck driver. I'm on Interstate 40, and there's something very wrong with the cargo I'm transporting. What is the nature of the emergency, sir? How could I explain this? I think there are people inside the container. Missing people. I hear voices, banging, silence on the other end. Sir, did you say you hear voices? Yes. And I looked up the names in the cargo manifest. They're people who disappeared years ago. All on Interstate 40. I understand. What is your exact location? Mile marker 195, heading east. And you said you're hearing voices coming from the container. Yes! I know how that sounds, but, sir, are you under the influence of alcohol or any other substance? No! I'm trying to tell you that I'm sending a patrol to do a check. Please pull over to the side of the road and wait. The call dropped. I looked at my phone. No signal. Suddenly, out of nowhere. No. I shook my phone. Nothing. I restarted it. Nothing. I looked out the window. The road was still empty. No cars, no trucks, no patrol cars. It was as if I were alone in the world. I retrieved the manifest again. I looked for the destination address. Mile marker 237. I opened the GPS on the trailer's dashboard. I typed, mile marker 237, Interstate 40, New Mexico. The GPS processed for a moment. Then a message appeared. Destination not found. What? I tried again. Same message. I picked up my cell phone, even without a signal, and opened the offline map. I traced Interstate 40 with my finger. Mile markers 230, 235, 240. Mile marker 237 existed. It was there on the map. But when I enlarged the image, there was nothing. Just a road. Empty. In the middle of the New Mexico desert. No buildings. No warehouses. No delivery points. Just earth. My stomach churned. So where am I supposed to deliver this? I looked at the road ahead. It seemed different now. Narrower. The white lines on the asphalt were faded, almost invisible. And the light was wrong. The sun should have been high in the sky, but it was getting dark, as if night were returning, in the middle of the morning. No, that doesn't make sense. I looked at the dashboard. Time, 9:47 a.m. I looked at the sky, black, starry, as if it were 3 in the morning. My breath became short and labored. This isn't real. This isn't real. But it was. Somehow, the road was changing. Or I stepped on the brake. The truck skidded and stopped. I stood there, hands on the steering wheel, trying to process what was happening. And then I realized the other mile markers had disappeared. There were no green signs. There were no exit signs. Just the road, endless, going straight ahead. It's as if Interstate 40 has become an endless tunnel, and I was trapped inside it. I looked in the rearview mirror. The container was there. But now, there was something more. A figure, standing, next to the container. Property, just observing. It had no face. Just a black silhouette, high, and she was looking directly at me. I blinked. The figure disappeared. Just the container. Empty. Silent. I'm going crazy. I rubbed my eyes hard. I took 3 deep breaths. 4. Maybe it was lack of sleep. Maybe stress. Maybe. I looked again. The figure was back, closer now. On the left side of the truck, stopped in the lane next to the truck, as if walking alongside it, but I hadn't seen her move. She just appeared. My heart raced. I put the transmission in drive and accelerated. 60 miles per hour, 70, 80. I looked in the side mirror. The figure was still there, walking, at the same speed as the truck, as if it were floating. Get out of here, get out. I accelerated even more, 90 miles per hour. The trailer started to vibrate. I looked again. The figure had vanished. Just an empty road. Dark. I slowed down, my hands sweating on the steering wheel. And then, the fog began to roll in. She appeared out of nowhere, dense, white, as if someone had thrown a blanket over the road. I reduced it to 40, 30. I could barely see 5 meters ahead. The headlights cut through the fog, creating shadows that seemed to move. And that's when I saw it. Figures. On the side of the road, human silhouettes, standing still, facing the truck. First 1, then 2, 3, 5. All properties. Just observing. There were no details, no faces, just black shapes against the white fog. This is not happening. This is not happening. I kept driving, slowly. The fog was getting thicker and thicker, and the figures multiplied. Now there were dozens of them. On both sides of the road, some are closer, others are farther away. All stopped. They're all watching me. I felt cold sweat running down my back. And then, one of them moved. He took a step towards the road, then another one, and he started walking alongside the cart, slowly, dragging her feet, as if every movement were painful. I looked in the side mirror. She was there, accompanying. I sped up a little. The figure sped up too, without running, just gliding. Then another figure emerged from the fog, from the other side, also walking, also accompanying. No. I accelerated more. They continued, at the same speed, and then more figures appeared. 3, 5, 10. They were all walking alongside the truck. They were all silent, like a procession. It was as if they were escorting me. My foot trembled on the accelerator, 40 miles per hour, 50. The figures continued, and then I heard it. Beats, not in the container. On the cabin doors, tock, tock, tock. On the left side, tock, tock, tock. On the right side, as if they were knocking, asking to come in. Go away. Go away. The beats got louder. Bang, bang, bang. The entire cabin was vibrating. I looked out the side window. A figure was there, next to the door, walking, and now I could see her hand, pale, bony, fingers that are too long, banging on the glass. Bang, 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 I yelled. I floored the accelerator. The truck sped off, 70 miles per hour, 80. The figures were left behind, disappearing into the fog. I took a deep breath, gasping, almost crying. I looked in the rearview mirror. The road was empty, just fog. And then I realized, on the side window pane, where the hand had struck, there were marks, fingerprints, not on the outside of the glass, on the inside. It was as if someone had knocked from inside the cabin. But I was alone, always summary. I looked at the passenger seat, empty. I looked in the rearview mirror, the back seat, also empty. But then, I saw something. In the corner of the mirror, a shadow, seated, behind me. Property. I turned my head reflexively. Nothing. Just an empty bench. I looked back in the mirror. The shadow was still there, looking at me. And then, she tilted her head, slowly, as if she were curious. No. I didn't look again. I couldn't. I just drove. Faster. Further away. Running away from something that was inside the cabin with me. Something that had never gone away. The fog dissipated after a few minutes, but the feeling that something was behind me didn't go away. I stopped looking in the rearview mirror. I couldn't. I kept my eyes fixed on the road, my hands on the steering wheel, my controlled breathing. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. But my breathing wasn't alone. There was another one, slow, heavy, coming from the back seat. Stop, please, stop. I don't know if I was talking to the thing behind me or to myself. I looked at the dashboard. Mile marker 229, 8 miles. Just 8 miles to mile 237. 8 miles to the finish line. I could feel it. Something was waiting there. Something that had always been waiting. I pulled over to the side of the road. I couldn't drive anymore. My hands were shaking too much. My vision was blurred from all the sweat in my eyes. I turned off the engine. The silence was instantaneous. Absolutely. I grabbed the manifesto from the glove compartment. My hands were shaking so much I almost tore the paper. I needed to understand. I needed to see something I had missed. Dead Freight Manifest. I read each line again, slowly. Collection date, March 15th, 2027. Wait. I picked up my cell phone. I checked today's date, December 10th, 2024. March 2027 had not yet happened. But this manifesto had a future date, as if they already knew what was going to happen, as if that had already been decided. My eyes scanned the list. Item 1, Laura Mendez, 34 years old. Item 2, David Ortiz, 29 years old. Item 3, Rebecca Cole, 41 years old. Item 4, Timothy Walsh, 56 years old. 4 names. But the manifesto had 5 lines. I had seen 4 all night. I counted 4 times. But now there was a 5th line, not final, written with fresh ink, as if it had been added recently. Item 5, Marcus Tavares, 42 years old. My name. My name was in the manifesto. I felt the blood drain from my face. No, this wasn't here before, but it was. I knew it was. I just hadn't seen it, or maybe I didn't want to see it. I turned the paper over with trembling hands. On the back, where there had previously been only one handwritten line, there was now more, much more. Don't look inside. Don't stop before your destination. They will beg. Ignore them. And below, in a different, smaller, almost illegible font, Marcus Tavares, collection, 2:14 a.m. Location, Industrial Warehouse, Amarillo, TX. Final destination, mile marker, 237. Estimated time of arrival, 11 a.m. I looked at the clock on the dashboard, 10:47. 13 minutes. I had 13 minutes until the appointed time. And below that, one last sentence. He always knew his name. I dropped the paper. My hands covered my mouth, trying not to scream. And then I heard it. They weren't knocks. They weren't scratches. They were voices. All at the same time. Coming from the container. Marcus, you were always fifth. From the beginning, he chose you. Just as he chose us. I staggered out of the cabin. I fell to my knees on the asphalt. I don't want this. I just wanted the money. I just needed to pay the bills. The voices continued. We too. All of us too. But now we're part of the cargo. And you'll be next. I got up, stumbling to the container. The padlock was still there. Locked. But I had the key. I always had the key. It was in the envelope. Along with the manifesto, I took the key out of my pocket. The voices grew louder. Do not open. Don't let him out. If you open it, he'll come. I looked at the key in my hand, and then I understood. I should never have opened it. But if I hadn't opened it, I would never have known what I was carrying. I put the key in the padlock. The voices became screams. Marcus! No! Gray. The padlock opened with a metallic click, and then silence. Absolute. Total. As if the whole world had held its breath. I held the latch on the container door, frozen hands, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat, and I pulled. The door opened slowly, grinding, echoing, and inside, there was only darkness, complete, profound, as if the light couldn't get in. I took a step back, and something came out. It wasn't a person. It wasn't an object. It was cold air, so cold it burned, and within that air, whispers, hundreds of them, thousands, as if every person who had disappeared on Interstate 40 were there, taken, waiting, and now, released. I stumbled back. The darkness inside the container didn't move. It just pulsed, as if it were breathing, and the whispers continued, growing louder, clearer. He's coming. You set him free. Now he needs another one. I didn't know. My voice came out broken, pathetic. I tried to close the door. I pulled with all my might, but she didn't move, as if something on the other side was holding it back. Then I saw one hand, pale, cold, fingers that are too long, holding onto the edge of the door. From the inside, I slammed the door shut with a scream and ran back to the cabin. I locked the doors. I started the engine. My hands were slipping on the steering wheel from all the sweat. Go! 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 The engine roared. The trailer began to move, but something was wrong. The steering wheel wasn't responding. I would turn left. He would turn right. He stepped on the brake. The truck accelerated. No! No! Stop! But the truck continued on, alone, as if something had taken control. I looked at the dashboard. The mileage was changing. Too fast. Mile 230. Mile 232. Mile 235. I wasn't driving that fast. But the road was getting shorter, as if it were pulling the cart forward. Mile 236, please. Please. No. I tried to open the door. It was locked. The lock wouldn't budge. I tried to break the glass. It wouldn't crack. I was imprisoned. Mile 237. The truck stopped on its own. The engine shut off. Silence. I looked out the window. There was nothing, just desert, dry land, darkness, and ahead, a shed, old, abandoned, doors open, dim light inside. I knew this place, not physically, but I recognized him. It was as if she had dreamed about him her whole life. The cabin door unlocked itself. It opened by itself. The cold air rushed in, cutting, burning my lungs. I went downstairs. Not because I wanted to, but something was pulling me. My feet moved on their own, step by step, toward the shed. I tried to stop. I couldn't. Sophia, I murmured, tears streaming down my face. Jennifer, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The entrance to the warehouse was right in front of me. The light inside was yellow, flickering, like candles, and in the center of the empty space, a figure. High. Costs. Wearing something dark. Torn. Property. I stopped 3 meters from her. My voice came out trembling. Who are you? The figure did not respond. She just raised one hand, slowly, and he pointed to the container, still open, still waiting. No, I'm not going in. The figure turned its head, slowly, and I saw it. It had no face, just absence. It's like a hole in reality. And from that hole, voices came out. You accepted the contract. You drove the load. You opened the door. Now you're part of it. I didn't know. I just needed the money. The figure took a step towards me. I have a daughter. I have someone waiting. That's a lie. Sophia wasn't expecting it. Jennifer wasn't expecting it. Nobody was there. I was alone. Always summary. The figure stopped in front of me, and then he touched my forehead. With one finger, cold. So cold it burned. And I saw it. All the people who had carried this load before me. All the truck drivers who accepted the payment. Everyone who drove to mile 237. And everyone who entered the container. And they never left. Because that was the delivery. Not objects, not merchandise, souls. And I was next. The figure pointed again. To the container. The doors are open. Darkness awaits. I looked back. The road had disappeared. Just desert. Infinite. There was no way out. There never was. I walked over to the container, step by step, going up, entering. Darkness swallowed me whole, and the doors closed. Clang. From inside, I heard out my own voice, joining in the whispers. Marcus Tavares, 42 years old. Delivered. 3 weeks later. The Key County Sheriff's Office in New Mexico received a call at 6:23 a.m. A passing motorist had found an abandoned semi-trailer truck at mile marker 237 of Interstate 40. No signs of collision, cold engine, doors locked. No sign of the driver. Deputy Sheriff Daniel Torres arrived at the scene 40 minutes later. He followed standard procedure. He checked the cabin. Empty. Clean. Only a cell phone in the cup holder. Dead battery. He checked the container. Locked. There was no key. They called a locksmith. They cut the padlock. They opened the doors. The container was empty. Completely empty. Just dust on the metal floor. And a strange smell, like wet earth, like something that had been buried for a long time. And in the center of the empty space, an envelope. The deputy sheriff picked it up with gloves. He opened it. Inside, a single document, Dead Freight Manifest. They are lions. Collection date, March 15th, 2027. Origin, Fort Stockton. TX destination, mile marker 237, Interstate 40. Item 1, Laura Mendez, 34 years old. Status, delivered. Item 2, David Ortiz, 29 years old. Status, delivered. Item 3, Rebecca Cole, 41 years old. Status, delivered. Item 4, Timothy Walsh, 56 years old. Status, delivered. Item 5, Marcus Tavares, 42 years old. Status, delivered. And below, a sixth line. Written with fresh ink, as if it had been added minutes before. Item 6. Years. Status. Pending. The name was blank. Waiting. The deputy sheriff frowned. He turned the paper over. On the back, a phrase, "The next collection will be confirmed soon." He kept the manifesto as evidence. The case was registered as vehicle abandonment. Missing person, Marcus Tavares, father of a daughter, divorced, truck driver for 18 years, no criminal record, no apparent reason for disappearing. But it disappeared. Like everyone else. 2 weeks later, Jennifer Tavares was cleaning the house when the phone rang. Unknown number. Area code 307. She almost didn't answer, but something made her stop. "Hello?" The voice on the other end was metallic, distant. "Mrs. Tavares, we regret to inform you of the disappearance of your ex-husband. However, there are outstanding financial matters related to the last shipment he transported." "What? What cargo?" "He did not complete the delivery. The contract specifies that, in case of non-compliance, the responsibility passes to the next of kin. I have nothing to do with his work." "We understand. But there is compensation, a final payment, $7,000. Jennifer remained silent. $7,000. She had overdue bills. Sophia needed school supplies. The car was breaking down. What? What do I need to do? Just one pickup. Simple. One night. We'll send the coordinates. The call dropped. Jennifer looked at the phone. A message has arrived. Coordinates, an address, and an attachment. Dead freight manifest. She opened it. Collection date, January 22nd, 2025. Origin, Industrial Depot, Clovis, NM destination, mile marker. 237, Interstate 40. Item 1, Laura Mendez, 34 years old. Status, delivered. Item 2, David Ortiz, 29 years old. Status, delivered. Item 3, Rebecca Cole, 41 years old. Status, delivered. Item 4, Timothy Walsh, 56 years old. Status, delivered. Item 5, Marcus Tavares, 42 years old. Status, delivered. Item 6, Jennifer Tavares, 39 years old. Status, pending your name. His name was in the manifesto. She dropped the phone, her hand trembling. But then, he thought, $7,000. Sophia needed it so much. She could do it. It was just one night, one delivery. What could possibly go wrong? 6 months later, somewhere along Interstate 40, in the complete darkness of the early morning hours, a new truck driver receives a call. Unknown number, metallic voice, distant. "We have an urgent shipment. Collection at 2 a.m. Payment in advance." He hesitates, but he's broken. Desperate. "How much?" $3,500. Silence. I accept." The call drops. A message arrives, coordinates, and an attached document, dead freight manifest. The list grows. It always grows, because Estrada never stops charging. EO mile marker 237. Always waiting. If you've listened this far, you might have sensed something familiar. A missed call, a strange number. An offer too good to refuse. If that happens, don't answer. Because some loads, they should not be transported. And some destinations, there's no going back. If you want more stories like this, just follow the voice and comment. I heard the whispers.